Hi crafters, welcome back to another segment of KISS, Keep It Simple Sylvia. For the month of May we're working with glue, and today I'm going to show you how to make different kinds of glue dots. Now some of the glue dots we're going to work with are going to be like embellishments. You can make your own bling with them, and other glue dots are going to be your actual sticky dots that you can use to adhere things with. So first of all, what you need is you're going to need hot glue for this part. And then you also need some kind of slick surface. Wax paper will not work because you're working with hot glue. Parchment paper doesn't work because it actually sticks to it. What I found works best is actually the backings of frozen food boxes that you get. And I just cut them apart so they're nice and flat because they've got a nice slick surface. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, see how it's got the nice slick shiny surface? And that's what we want for this. We want a nice slick shiny surface. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start adding some dots to it. And you make your dots as big or as little as you want. And when you take the glue gun up, kind of spin it in a circle like that, and that keeps the center of the glue in the center as you're pulling it up away from the glue dot. You can make these as big or as little as you want. And what you're actually making is your own bling, like I said. And I'm going to just put a whole bunch of glue dots down on different sizes here. Glue sticks also come in colors. I had gotten some, and for the life of me I can't remember where I put them. And also you can make different designs. They don't have to be dots, because what we're going to do is we're going to color these. And so I'm just going to make like a swirl, because these are going to be our own embellies. And you can like do a cute little flower. We did this last week when we did our own masks. It's one of the reasons you would leave these domed, so when you make your own bellies they've got some dimension to them and they're not flattened out like how we did for the masks. I'm just going to leave that like that. And also, while the glue is still hot, you can sprinkle glitter on it, because glue, glitter will stick to hot glue. Okay, I'm just gonna keep making some more dots. I can make bling dots, making some dots and putting glitter on them. As long as the glue's still hot and wet, you can do that. Okay, I'm going to let those dry, and then I'm going to come back and show you what else we're going to do with the clear ones. Okay, well that stuff finished drying. I'm going to show how to make the other kind of glue dots. Now, those are the kind of glue dots that we use to stick on embellishments with, or to adhere cardstock together. They come in all sorts of sizes. You can get little tiny mini ones, or you can get great big huge ones. You can get them in strips and whatever. But if you have the right kind of glue, you can make your own. And the glue that I found that's best for this is Aleene's Tack It Over and Over. I've been using Aleene's products for years, ever since she was on TV with her and Carol Duvall, and she introduced the world to her tacky glue. That stuff is fantastic, and I'm going to do a segment on that too. But today we're going to use the over and over, and the nice thing about the over and over is it always stays sticky no matter how much you pull it up or put it down. That's why it's called over and over. And so what we're going to do with this is we're just going to make our own sticky glue dots. And what I found that works best, and I've tried all sorts of things, is this sheets that back kids stickers, or your own stickers if you use them. They have a nice waxy feel to them, and they don't tear real easily. And this is just a sticker sheet. On one side is kind of real smooth feel, and the other side is real waxy feel. This works real good. I've tried other sheets, but the sticker sheets work the best. Because this glue is so sticky, it will pretty much stick to anything. So what we're going to do is, if you can, get yourself some of this. Go buy your kids some stickers, buy some stickers, but save this. I used this sheet, I cut this up. This was a 12 by 12, and I just cut it into strips. And I'm going to make my own sticky ones. So you can once again make these any size that you want. You can make them big. You can make little glue dots. And when this glue dries, it'll dry clear just like a glue dot does. And you see how I'm laying these down? Okay, I'm going to make some bigger ones. Now the bigger ones you kind of want to flatten out a little bit. The thing with these is it's always going to be dimensional. A lot of the glue dots that you can buy are real thin. If you make your own, you're not going to get them that thin. However, I have learned how to try to do that. And another nice product that I really like to use is the glue dots that come in strips like this. It was really great for gluing down cards, long pieces of like ribbon, or say you've got an edge that you want to put on a card or a project. You can make these as thick or as thin as you want, and try to make some real tiny glue dots. And you just drop them down here, and then you have to let this glue dry, and it's going to take about 3-4 hours for it to dry. But one of the things that I have found, if you really positively absolutely have to have them flat, is if you take another of your sheets and cut it and lay it over on top of it, and don't really push it real hard, but kind of push it down. Now you can either pull it back up again, which means you're going to have 2 sheets of sticky dots. See how I did that? And then that kind of flattens your dots out a little bit. You could have left it together also, and then you'd still be able to pull them apart. Now you can see here some of the things ran together. I'm just going to separate them now before they dry that way. Otherwise you could still cut them apart. This glue is really sticky. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside to dry. But this will last forever. You can make up a whole sheet of these and you'll have them for as long as you need them. And then another glue that I just discovered on the market is called the Best Glue Ever. And you can make your own sticky dots out of this too. This you have to order online. It's by Scrap Perfect, and they have a website. It's called www.scrapperfect.com. And this is I don't know, it's a 2-ounce bottle. Yeah, it's a 2-ounce bottle of glue. Now this glue is kind of like what rubber cement is like. And I'm going to talk about rubber cement a little bit too. What I mean by that is, you can see I'm putting some dots down, is if you adhere this to one side and you let it dry, and then take the other item that you want to stick to it and adhere some glue to that and let it dry, then you're going to have what's called repositional glue. And you can do that with the tacky also, but that stuff's so tacky. Which means then that the 2 sticky backs can stick together, but you can also pull them apart and reposition it. If you want it to be a permanent bond, then you put the glue on one side and then you lay the piece of paper, whatever project that you need to glue together, immediately on the wet, and then it'll be a permanent bond together between the two. And you can see I'm just doing the same thing, just making a whole bunch of glue dots. This has got a nice thin nozzle on it. I really, really like working with this glue. And then, you can make some big ones. When you make the big ones, to me it's good to try and flatten them out a little bit. Otherwise you have this really big raised dome. And the nice thing about this too, the nozzle, is it sticks back inside this tube, and the tube has got like an airtight chamber. Can you see that down in there? That keeps the glue from drying out. So you don't have to stick a pin back in it and kind of poke it through to make that work for you. Okay, so now here we've got the best ever glue dots, and then we have the Aleene's tack it over and over glue dots. Another glue I want to talk about is rubber cement. I've been using this product since I was in high school on the yearbook staff. This is how we used to do the layouts for all the pages in the yearbooks, is we used the rubber cement because it could be repositional depending on how you used it. So you could put stuff down. If you didn't like the way it looked, you could pull it back up again. It's a great repositional glue, but it can also be a permanent glue too. It just depends on how you want to use it. If you put a thin coat on each surface and stick them together, you're going to get a repositional. If you put a thin coat on one surface and let it dry, you can put another product on top of it and it can be repositional. If you put thick coats on each surface and stick it together, you're going to get a pretty permanent bond. So it just depends on how you want to use the product. But like I said, I've been using it for years. And sometimes when you use products, you think that everybody knows everything there is to know about the products. And I was surprised to learn that I'm taking an online card class, and one of the instructors showed a way to use it as a mask, and I've been using it as masking product for years in crafting, and I was just real surprised that hardly anybody knew about that. And so I thought, well, maybe you don't know about it and I'm going to let you know. So I'm just going to show you a simple way to do a masking. I'm just going to take a tag and I'm just going to stamp something on it that I want to stamp on it, that I want to mask off. And it just says you and me. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. I used an archival, it's a permanent ink. It doesn't have to be permanent. You can use watercolor inks too. It doesn't matter. You just have to let it dry. Make sure it's dry. Okay, that's dry. I'm just going to stamp another little item on this tag. And I'm just using some red distress ink here, just to show that you can use the different inks. And put a little heart on it. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to take the rubber cement, and you need to have a dedicated little brush. I have a brush that is really a nasty brush, and I can't really do a whole lot left with it, so I just use this, and it's just dedicated to use with the rubber cement. And you're just gonna just paint it over the areas that you want to mask off. And you don't have to make it real thick, but you want to make sure that you coat the area. And I'm not doing this real fancy. I'm not even trying to stay inside the lines. I just want to get the area masked off and coated. And if it goes outside the lines, that's okay. It doesn't bother me. Okay, I've got that, and then I'm going to do this one too. I'm going to dab it on. just gonna, I'll probably speed this part of the film up so you don't have to sit here and watch all this. Let's get this on here. Get these areas protected that you don't want to change with an addition of any kind of color. If you use spray inks in your crafting and you need to mask it off, they have other products out there that are sticky back kind of plastic acrylic that you can cut and mask with. And you can also, if you're just using a regular stencil and you want to use that as a mask, the problem is if you use like spray inks or really thin watercolor, it has a tendency to run underneath the stencil or the mask that you're using. When you use rubber cement, you don't have that problem because it's a direct paper seal, and so nothing's going to penetrate it at the edges, so you don't really have that problem of ink or paint running underneath your stencil or your mask. That's the nice thing, that's one thing I really do like about rubber cement for that reason. Particularly if you're using spray inks, they can get really messy, and and watercolors, they can, they just run like crazy. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let this dry, and I'll be right back when it's done. Okay, while that's drying, we're just going to kind of play around with the different adhesive factors of rubber cement. I've got just some tags here, manila tags, and I'm just going to put a thin coat of rubber cement on that one, a thin coat on this one, gonna let them dry, and then I'm gonna put a thick coat on this, and I'm just gonna fold it in half, and we're gonna see how well it sticks once it's dry. Might have to hold it down till it dries. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to cut this in half. And I'm going to put a pretty thick coat on this one. Pretty thick coat on this side. I'm just going to stick them together. Now we'll have to set these aside to let them dry too. And we'll see what kind of bond we get. These are already dry. Pretty dry, so I'm going to stick them together, press it down. I want to see if we can pull them apart, see if it's repositional, and see how you can pull that apart. So if you make a mistake on your layout or on the craft project, you still can pull it apart and it doesn't destroy the object that you've glued. And that's with a thin coat on it. Okay, I'm going to set the other ones aside until they dry, and the tag that we did should be dry. Let me see. I can still see some wet. I'm going to let this dry a little bit more. Okay, that tag's pretty dry now. Remember these markers that we used back when we were working with twine, and we made our own baker's twine out of these simple, cheap, inexpensive little Crayola type markers? Well, I'm going to use that to color this tag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some colors on my craft mat here, and I'm going to paint them on. Put a red here. Going to get a water brush, pick up some of that paint. I'm just going to run it on the tag here. And we're just going to paint this all up. There's not going to be anything fancy. I just want to show you how this rubber cement resists. Okay, I will put some pink down. Okay, get some clean water. Can mix the two colors together. Get some orange now. Put that on the craft mat. Color this all up. Okay. Alright, so we've got that all colored up now. Let this dry a little bit. And then I'm going to show you how you can actually draw with the rubber cement over on top of something that you've colored. And then we're going to add color on top of that and change it. So, okay, that's pretty dry. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a real quick little heart down here on the bottom. Get a little heart in here. Now what I've done is I've masked off the color that I just laid down. And I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to come back and put some color over on the top of this. And so then when we take the mask off, the bright red and orange and pink underneath are going to be what you're going to see. So I'm going to pause this while it dries. I just thought of something else while this is drying. If you want to put like stars in the sky, you can get my handy dandy little rolling tool, my bamboo skewer. Take the end of it. You can use an eraser too. Just put some rubber cement on it and just dab some dots for a background, and anything that you would put over the top of this these would resist, so they'd almost look like stars in the sky. Okay. Now I think that the bottom is pretty dry. Now it's got a little bit more to go. Okay, we're going to let this dry. Okay, that's pretty dry now. Now I'm just going to put a color over on top of that heart that I drew in with the rubber cement. And I'm just going to use some black. Now I'm going to load that up. Do some watercoloring with it. I'm just going to kind of flick it out from the edges. Okay, and then up at the top where we put those dots in, I can go back over with a red and see if I can make that a little darker on top, because I didn't really want to do black on it. I'll just do a little wash on here. Yeah, you can see it's resisting. So then when I rub them away we'll just basically have the lighter orange underneath. Okay, clean this up. Okay, so now it's time to take all of the rubber cement off. And you just rub with your finger. I don't remember if I said this or not, but when we were in high school working on the yearbooks and we'd rub this off, this actually becomes a rubber eraser. It's like a gum eraser, and we used to roll it up into balls, and we called them Guten balls. I don't know why we called them Guten balls, but that's what we called them. And you can get, if you roll them all together, you can get a pretty good size Guten ball going. We used to have huge ones, and if they ever needed an eraser, all you had to do was just, just say, hey, where's the Guten ball, and everybody knew what you were talking about. So now I'm going to scratch that up. And you see how it resisted. Now you can see where I didn't have everything covered real good because remember I said I wasn't that concerned about how I covered everything. And then I'll take this mask up. But it's a really good way to make a permanent seal on your paper. They have products out on the market that actually do this too, but they can be expensive. Rubber cement's cheap. You can get this thing for about $2. You can get bigger ones, I mean huge jars, for like $5-6. And the product that you buy on the market are much more expensive than that. The liquid masks that they sell. I'm just going to pull up these, oh, that's still a little wet. It's kind of balling. And you can feel where the rubber cement is. If you want, you can leave it there for a dimensional feel, or you can pull it back up again. And you can see I'm dabbing. The paper was still wet and I was rolling, and it kind of got it, kind of mealed up a little bit. And then all you have to do, if you remember from our segment on twine, is just put a color down, add some water to it, and drag your twine through the color, and then you've got to color coordinate it. You can do this with ribbon too. I think I mentioned that back then too. And it's going to, match the colors that you've got in your project. And dry it. Now I've got a piece of twine that's colored. And I can put this on the project. This is simple enough for kids to do. And kids love doing this kind of stuff. And there you have it. You've put the rubber cement down to act as a resist and a mask. And you can create a whole bunch of different things this way. I love using it like this. It's almost like a silhouette type thing. You put all these colors on the background and then you mask it off and cover it in black or blue. I just love that kind of color combination that it takes. So there you have it. Okay, I'm going to go check on the glue dots and see how they're coming along. Okay, they're done. These probably dried for maybe, I don't know, 4 hours, something like that. These were the dots that we made out of the best glue ever. So let's just go see how good it really is. Remember these little ones that we made up? We made up our own bling. We're going to use that with the glue dots, and we'll put them on the tag. So I'm going to take one of the red dots that we made. Oh, you can't see it. My fingers are so red. And I'm going to use the glue dot that we made, stick it on there, if I can do it with my nails. Uh-oh, it's stuck there. Okay, and I pulled it up, and I'm going to stick it on my project. There's my glue dot. That came off the paper really well. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do one of the blue ones. And all you do is now let's do the glitter because that one fell off. In order to get them off, you just snap them off. Okay, we'll use one of the bigger ones. Just peel it off the paper, comes right off, and we'll just stick it over here. Okay, there we go. Got our own glue dot stuck on there. Now I'm going to use the ones that we made made out of Aileen's Tack It Over and Over. And I don't want to add blue to it, so I'm just going to stay with red. So these are the ones that we made. Remember, we did the strip and then I put it on here to smush them so they'd be a little flatter. Okay, let's see how these peel off. These are really sticky. Okay, here's a nice flat one. I'll stick the thing on that. Pull it off. Stick it down on the project. There we go. Got our own glue dots with our own bling stuck on our project. I'm gonna pull off the swirl. We'll see if we can stick that on someplace. Okay. I'm just going to stick it on, and whatever dots come off are going to come off. And then we'll stick it up here in the corner. Okay, got it stuck on using our own glue dots. Well, crafters, I hope you like the show, and I hope that you will try some of these things because they're so simple and so easy to do and inexpensive, and you can always have glue dots handy. They're so sticky too. Oh my gosh, they're so sticky. Oh, let's see how the rubber cement's set up. Okay, we already tried this one. We knew that this was repositional. I don't know if this one's dry. This is one I put a ton of stuff on. This is kind of difficult to pull apart. I'm not getting in there and I'm not pulling it. If I pulled real hard, it would come apart. And then this one, I don't know, I didn't stick that down very good. Yeah, this one came apart because I didn't stick it down very good. But the one where I put put it on thick on both sides, it's down there. It's good enough for any project. I don't want to pull it apart because it'll rip the paper. And then once again, you can see that this is repositional. Okay, so we did our own sticky glue dots, our own bling. We used rubber cement as a mask. We used Eileen's Tack It Over and Over Again to make glue dots. We used this Best Glue Ever to make glue dots. They're both very good. I like both of them. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the show today, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.